And welcome back to the channel. So finally, the how to defeat 746 Kang guide is gonna be here. And like all of these final bosses, his abilities is like a book, but actually it's a very simple and straightforward fight. So instead of going over all of his abilities, we're gonna note the most important things. First things first, we need to keep in mind exactly 4 icons, because there are 4 actions that you can do throughout the fight to progress. That is basically parry stun and attack him. That is punish his heavy attack. That is intercept. And that is punish special attack. These are 4 key icons you need to memorize. You need to understand that as long as you see any of these icons, that is the action that you cannot do. So if you have just parried him and hit him, you can't do the same thing again, or you're gonna get stunned and you're gonna get wrecked. That's the key of the entire fight. Whichever one of these icons is on the screen, that is something that you cannot do. First 2 phases, there's only going to be 1 of these icons, and the last 2 phases is going to be 2 of these icons, so you can't do the last 2 actions that you already have done. So you need to alternate in between parry stun and hit him, punish his heavy attack, intercept, or punish his special attack. That's the key, and I'm going to showcase that in a fight, don't worry guys. But that's basically all there is to the fight. The fight itself works by you doing one of these things, and then he's going to try and counterattack, and then you need to evade his beam from the counterattack, and then you gain a charge. Every time you reach 10 charges, he goes wounded, and then you do a ton of damage. In order to help you with dealing damage, there are actually several helpful things in his kit. In phase 1, you increase your damage for each unique buff that you have. In phase 2, you increase your damage for each unique debuff. In phase 3, you increase your damage for each buff, which is not unique anymore, just the amount of buffs. And in phase 4, you increase your damage for each unique damaging debuff. So the best champions for this fight would be the champions that have access to buffs and debuffs, for most part. Another key point to note is in this phase, in all of the phases, the willpower mastery is disabled. There is no willpower in this fight, but your regular regeneration abilities still do work and still do function. Once in a while, he's going to be placing debuffs on you and getting buffs himself. For most part, that's completely irrelevant, and you do not worry about any of that stuff. The only other thing that you need to get used to is evading his special attacks and the timing of it, because he is going to change the timing of it, and that is kind of the tricky part. There is normal speed, there's fast speed, and there is a slow speed, and that is something that you can only kind of get used to with practice. But whichever speed he's going to use, there's going to be a hard call out for that fight. So let's actually jump in the fight. I'm going to showcase the solo that I did freshly this morning, and the fight itself is definitely not all that bad, all that hard, and I'm going to comment on it as I go along. So this is going to be phase 1. I have fairly jacked Ultron here. So we parried and we attacked. So we can repeat this again. So here I start the fight, I parry and attack, and now we can see that there is that green icon next to Kang. So that means I cannot punish after stun now. I can either block bait heavy attack, I can intercept, or I can punish a special attack. That is it. So now we're gonna carry on this, and we're gonna see that I'm just gonna be block baiting a heavy attack and punishing that. Now the icon has changed on block bait heavy attack, and that is the thing that I cannot do again. But I am free to parry this time around, or try and intercept. Now the evade here kind of messes me up a bit, but he uses his special attack, so this is the timing of special attack. It's kind of similar to Miles Morales level 1 to similar to Maestro's level 1. It's kind of 2 dashes, but with a bit difference by like pauses in between them. Now I cannot punish his special attack, but I could have punished that heavy, or I could have done this. Now here I cornered myself, and that is one of the worst things you can do in this fight. One of the best things you can do is actually hit his block, so you do not get cornered. But nonetheless, so we are progressing here in the fight. You can see how each of those icons are changing. Now I punish special attack, I can't do that. Now again, accidentally, I kind of get wrecked there a bit. It's not the best start of the fight, but I still do get the solo in this fight despite all the mishaps. I'm using Odin's pre-fights in this fight just to get myself a bit more damage and be able to blitz through these phases in one go. It is not end of the world if you are unable to get through a phase in one go. You're just gonna have to build up the charges again. One of the most important things is that any progress you make in the fight gets saved up. If you clear a phase and you bring in next champion, you're gonna start in the same phase. If you do have any charges built up, you still keep those charges next time you enter the fight. Which means you can quite literally unit man this way through till the end eventually, because, you know, revive enough and you're gonna get through it. So don't get discouraged by that. Now we saw that he slowed down the timing of his counter punch, so it's a bit different timing that you do need to get used to. But the principle still applies exactly the same. I need to do one of those 4 things. Punish stun, punish heavy, intercept or punish special attack. And I need to keep an eye on for that green icon of which is the action that I cannot do. And I need to build up to the 10 charges that you see right next to the Ultron's profile picture. At the moment I have 7. Every time you reach 10 charges, next time you would hit Kang, time kind of stops. He goes in his wounded phase. And, you know, the fight is gonna take off and you can do a ton of damage. So here we are. I'm at 8 charges at this point. We are not doing too bad. I'm getting my 9th, 10th. Here we go. Wonderful. So I just need to hit him and he is wounded. So this was the second phase. For each unique debuff on Kang, I am increasing my damage output. But obviously, Ultron just got no chill and he's going to completely blitz through this entire thing. So Ultron is absolutely melting through this phase. Again, do not be discouraged if your champions do not get through that phase as quickly. You might need to do each of these things twice. But I did kind of want to make sure that I can get through each of these phases in one wounded state, just because it makes the fight quicker and it works as better showcase. Now you can see 2 icons there, and that is going to mean 2 things that I cannot do. So now I cannot punish stun and I cannot intercept. So I kind of have to punish special attack or block bait heavy. And they rotate. Now I can't block bait heavy or punish stun. So I need to either intercept or I need to punish a special attack. So I'm hoping he's going to use his special attack. And again, you just need to learn that await a bit. And I punish special attack. Very good. At this point, I'm free to punish stun. And that's how entire fight works. You just need to keep an eye on those 2 green icons, which lists the 2 things that you cannot do. Now I need him to throw a special attack or get an intercept. That is why you do not want to get cornered, because in a corner, it's almost impossible to get in the intercept. And that's why it's helpful to hit his block and maintain a decently good spacing. But now he uses special attack, so I can punish it. And again, I'm going to be free to stun. But unfortunately, I missed a parry there. It's fine though. We got our 10th charge. So I'm going to go in and start, you know, attacking the Kang. And at this point, again, we're getting a ton of debuffs, bleeds. I'm going to use my level 3. Level 3 is going to cautionize, give me plenty of damage because I am running the Hulkbuster synergy. So I do have Ultron's kind of like Fury mechanic working, and we have bleeds that are becoming more and more potent, and we can see Kang's health absolutely being melted down. And now we are in the last phase, and it's pretty much the same thing. Now, there are, again, in this phase, he's going to be alternating the speeds from normal to slow to fast, so you kind of need to be on your toes whenever he uses special attack or counter, but you can see that HUD callout is there, whether it's fast or whether it's slow. And that is about it. There is that red timer that is ticking, and before that, that timer was for buffs, when the buffs will activate, and in the last phases, that timer is basically when he reaches level 3. That timer gets paused every time you get a charge, and if you do not get these charges for a while, he will automatically basically just build up to level 3, and that is it. When it comes to you pushing to level 2, you know, you can do it, but it's very hard to dex it, and you just end up blocking it all. You can push him past 1 bar of power in first phase easy, because he only has level 1 available there, but in last several phases, you just kind of ideally stick to level 1s if you are comfortable with timing. Alternatively, you can push him to level 2, take a lot of block damage and survive that if you are unable to evade it completely. But here we are, and that is pretty much the entire fight. And I'm going to go for level 3, so we're going to, again, get a ton of damage on Ultron, thanks to the Hulkbuster synergy and the fact that he had a lot of bleeds on. And we can see he's absolutely melting. And in order to finish the fight, you just need to connect 5 regular hits, and that is going to be it. There's nothing to it. So again, these are the 4 icons that you absolutely must remember, learn, and keep in mind that whenever one of these icons is on the screen, that is the exact thing that you cannot do. You're forbidden from doing this. Because if you do that, you're going to get passively stunned, and then Kang's going to wreck you. Now, for the final bit of the video, just the best options. Again, as I mentioned, willpower is disabled, so you do not want to be running Liquid Courage Double Edge without a champion that's double immune. But overall, I think Ultron is the best option for these fights. Ideally, if you have Hulkbuster synergy. Human Torch is also a really good option because there's a ton of energy attacks and you can nuke down. But Human Torch is kind of only good if you're quite good with the fight already, because Human Torch is not the tankiest character. And obviously, the longer the fight goes, the more damage you do. If you're unable to do this fight well, then Torch might not necessarily be the best champion for you. Hulk can do extremely well in this fight. So can King Groot, because he has debuffs, he has buffs, and obviously he regens throughout the phases like a tank if you have decent high sig level. So you're able to take more punishment, and he can just kind of outlast. But obviously King Groot's going to be slower than Ultron, for instance. Hulkbuster actually is really, really, really good for these as well. Because A, he has, armor ups, and he has plenty of tankiness. He has regen on his sig. But also in wounded phase, you can just heavy spam him against the corner, and you're going to have like 15 shocks on the opponent, and those heavies are going to be absolutely massive. Then you can drop a level 3 and do a ton of damage. So Hulkbuster can absolutely burst through phases too. And then some other options would be like Nick Fury, Hyperion, and I-Bomb. Nick Fury with his double life initially when you start the fight, it's just going to give you more wiggle room. Hyperion, access to damage over time debuffs, access to buffs, and, can do plenty of damage in fairly short bursts as well. And I-Bomb is just tanky, access to damage over time debuffs, and so on and so forth. So those are kind of like the better options. I think first 5 are significantly better than the rest of them, but pretty much any champion can be used for these fights. It's just which ones are going to do it safer, quicker, tankier kind of thing. So these are my personal recommendations. So that is about it for this video. Remember these 4 icons. Get used to the timing of the counterweight. Basically, you have to dash back pretty much immediately whenever you would do one of these things. And then you need to learn to wait the level 1. And then the fight is perfectly soloable, or at the very least doable without any items. And it actually goes quite quick. I think the fight duration for that Ultron fight was like 5 minutes or something. So there you go. It's not the overly crazy boss fight. It's definitely doable. Also, again, keep in mind that all your progress is saved. So whenever you gain a single charge, that's already progress made. Whenever you get through one phase of Kang, that progress is also being saved. And you can whittle him down. If it seems that you are messing up, do not feel despaired. It isn't like a champion boss where you can spend thousands of units and you're not going to get it done. Here, if you are messing up, every single time you enter a fight, you do further your progress as long as you earn at least 1 charge by evading a counterattack. That's about it. So I do hope that this guide was helpful. As promised, a full solo of Kang as well. And yeah, I will catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about